welcome back to this channel, Equine Hair by Sabina. Today I'm going to be going over a few styles you can use to lay a horse's mane to prepare for a show or prepare for banding, things like that. So things you might need are a comb. I've already sectioned his hair, you'll see, but I have a comb on me for that process. I've also got electrical tape. I personally use bands for these styles, especially on a horse who's in his show career currently, so his hair is already so short. I think the electrical tape is a lot more work, so I prefer the bands, but either or. And then his mane is freshly washed. You want to make sure it's washed so it's clean before you braid it up. Before you braid it up or band it up, I'll show you all those styles. So we'll come over here. So this first style I like to call just a pull through or something simple like that. And essentially what you're doing is a really wide band, and then you're pulling the band through itself so it lays really flat. This is really good if the roots of the hair especially are struggling to kind of stay flat. So it's a really easy process. You're just going to part your hair. I like to do about 3 fingers width. I've already parted it because I have the next style on the left side. But then you're just going to band it pretty loosely, still keeping it nice and flat, laying down like this. You're just going to band it. Okay. And it can be pretty loose. And then I like to pull it down just a little bit so it's right about there. And then I'm actually going to part it in 2 under the band like this. And then just push the band through the hole I've created, just like this. Making sure not to pull the band out or pull on any individual hairs too much. And then you can kind of snug it up, but usually they lay really flat like that. And this, again, is just really good if the roots of the hair are kind of the problem when it comes to like sticking up, which he just got back from a show, so his mane is laying really nice. But if it weren't, this would be the perfect style for something that's like laying straight up or wanting to flip to the other side, whatever it is. Okay, pause it. Even simpler, this is just going to be a braid, kind of braided tight to the crest, just so it lays flat. So you're going to section. I like to do 3 for all of these just because it's the easiest measurement. And you're just going to braid really tight. I like to do the first one with this overhand handhold and then immediately cross over to an underhand where I can keep the thumb on the middle to make sure it stays really tight to the crest. Kind of like you're doing a hunter braid, but obviously the sizing's different. And going as far down as you can without losing grip of your hair. And I've kind of started to braid the next section in by accident, so I'm just going to pull those out real quick. Ooh. And then holding real tight to those, you're going to grab a band and tie it up. Levi, stop it. And you want to keep this band nice and tight on this end of this braid here. Just like that. This is a good style, just like the first one, to kind of keep the hair at the crest of the neck to lay down really flat. But it's, again, kind of affecting the whole hair because it's going all the way down, whereas this one will keep this straight. So if you have a horse that kind of has a natural curl at this end, you might opt to this instead. And then the last one, which I'm not going to demonstrate because I have a video on it, is just banding. A lot of people, when they come back from like a one-day show where they're not too worried about the horse kind of being in pain because their crest is being really tightly pulled, might keep their bands in an extra day just to kind of help the mane lay flat when they take them out. So that's a really good option. Or if you're kind of preparing for a braider or something like that for a big show, you might band the mane a day before you leave for the show and then take it out so it's nice and flat for your braider, bander, whatever it is. Something I wanted to talk on briefly was sleazies, also known as slinkies. And these are a really good tool after you've done whatever hairstyle you're going to do with your horse, and either to protect that hairstyle or if you're doing a style that's laying the mane, this is just a reinforcement to keep that mane flat. So they're generally known as 2 styles of slinky/sleazy, one of which is this style here with the ear holes as well as extra wide eye holes, and this will go all across the face, over the neck, and also to parts of the chest. And then on the next slide we have what is known as a faceless sleazy. So this one does not have anything over the face. This is really good if your horse tends to rub on their face and kind of get their sleazy twisted over their eyes, things like that. Or if you're not too worried about like a horse with like a white marking or a gray horse or something like that, where you don't need to worry as much about the face getting dirty, or if you don't have any style on the forelocks such as banding or braiding, these are really nice for that. Some sleazies, slinkies will have a strap going in between the front legs to attach to the girth, if you will. Some don't. That's just an option. But something to keep in mind is the fit of the sleazy. This is an example of a sleazy that isn't quite fitting this horse correctly. So you want a sleazy to essentially be as tight as comfortably possible against the horse. You obviously don't want it digging into the skin, especially in those seams that are kind of fastening it to the horse, but you want it tight enough that it's not moving around causing extra friction against whatever style you've put in the mane, or even if this is just a protective thing to keep them clean, safe for a really light horse, a gray, something like that. You want to make sure that the sleazy is nice and secure, nice and snug on the horse without obviously being too tight. So we see here way too many wrinkles in this horse's sleazy. This one is one that has ear coverings, which are good if you need those, but the fit of the sleazy is very unideal. So to recap, essentially, a lot of people will use sleazies either as their means of laying a mane, training a mane, whatever term you want to use, or in conjunction with whatever they're using to train a mane. As well, when you go to shows, you'll see almost always people, after they've banded or braided their horse's mane, will put a sleazy on just to be safe, to make sure that the bands and the braids aren't going to get ripped out or anything like that. So sleazies are a really good alternative to just hoping and praying, essentially.